What really happened to Sue Aikens from Life Below Zero? Can you imagine living in a remote place surrounded by wilderness? It takes a special and exceptional individual to live in a place like that, especially when the temperature is frequently well below zero and your neighbors are dozens of grizzly bears. This is everyday life at the Kavik River Camp, the home of Sue Aikens, a topic of the Nat Geo documentary Life Below Zero. So, what really happened to her that she decided to leave the show? If you want to know all about it, stay with us until the end of the video. And let's get started. Admit it, at some point in life we all must have thought about the possibilities of living and surviving in some unfavorable locations. Then, in 2013, Life Below Zero debuted on National Geographic Channel, clearing up all our remaining questions. The show features characters surviving and overcoming the numerous difficulties that come with living so far away in such harsh environments. The show also features how the subsistent hunters or featured cast members make money, venturing into various businesses in the remote areas of Alaska. Sue Aikens was one of the hunters of the show from day one. The network heard of her unique lifestyle and picked up interest in her when they got to know about her unique living standard. Ever since the show premiered, she has continuously made quite an impression. However, so much has happened over the years, leaving many wondering what happened to her. So, let's talk about it. Sue Aikens' unorthodox style of life in Alaska's Kavik River Camp influenced her upbringing. When her mother got divorced from her father, she brought Sue to live with her in the north of Fairbanks, Alaska. Initially, Sue found it challenging to adapt to this way of life, but it was made even harder for her to survive when her mother abandoned her in such a harsh setting. So Sue was left on her own to fend for herself and earn a living. Eventually, an elderly Alaskan gave her her first weapon and warned her that if she didn't learn how to hunt, she would die. So she realized she had to survive at that time, and that earning money was her only option. She rapidly mastered survival skills and soon owned close to 32 enormous Alaskan Malamutes. To hunt and support herself, she would set up trap lines that were up to 400 kilometers long. Soon after that, impressed by her lifestyle, she was featured in the TLC reality series Sarah Palin's Alaska prior to joining Below Zero. Although she appeared in the episode She's a Fantastic Shot, her appearance wasn't planned. She was invited to appear on the show after the former governor of Alaska came across her while she was on a caribou hunting trip in the Kavik River Camp with her 72-year-old father, Chuck Heath, and a family friend called Steve Becker. Perhaps it was a close encounter with TLC that catapulted her into the spotlight, as her camp quickly rose to fame as a thrilling location for hunting parties. She appeared in a couple of episodes of Flying Wild Alaska, another reality show, in 2011. So there have been many changes since Sue joined Below Zero. But she said that before she did, BBC Studios had approached her because they were intrigued by her unusual lifestyle. Sue added that she wouldn't have taken the opportunity if she hadn't been treated with such respect. She cherished her privacy. Therefore, the performance began by upholding it. They would contact and inquire about filming her and find out what she was doing, which she genuinely appreciated, since they didn't try to change her uniqueness. Even though people had been extolling BBC's praises up until that point, it was a complete surprise when Sue launched a lawsuit against BBC Studios LA in 2017. No one could have imagined that the show had problems. She filed a claim after getting hurt while riding her snowmobile at 6 miles per hour through an overflow on an icy river and colliding with an ice heave. Sue stated that the incident that was included in the crash episode and the subsequent aftermath episode, both of which were shown in June of the same year, were taped without her permission, and that the producer, Aaron Melman, had coerced her into doing so. Because she was aware of the risks, she had advised against filming there but was disregarded. Adding to this, in spite of the fact that she was in agony and needed immediate assistance, the rescue crew allegedly purposefully delayed their arrival after the accident and forced her to walk to demonstrate how badly she was wounded for better pictures. But the question is why she waited for so long to file the claim, given that the accident occurred in 2015. In addition, the government permitting oil and gas extraction in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in 2017 is another noteworthy event that happened to Sue. Considering that her camp was the only close business hub, there were rumors that the government would take it away. It would seem that she had no claim to the land, so she later placed a bid on an abandoned cabin near China, Alaska, just to be on the safe side, even though nothing along that line of speculation occurred. She placed the winning offer, and the cabin is now hers. But it didn't mean she abandoned her cabin in Alaska and relocated totally to the new place. In the event that the authorities ever forcibly ejected her from Kavik, she purchased the cabin in China as a backup plan. Adding to her miseries, the most recent COVID-19 outbreak impacted her company because of social exclusion, which left her with no customers, putting a strain on her sources of income. However, she did not sit idle. She performed some thorough cleaning and made general improvements to the space. She replaced the old heavy detachable pipes in the gray water system with new, lighter ones. She also constructed new outhouses and replaced the tarps on the generator storage buildings. You see, she obviously gained tremendous abilities by living alone in a distant location. And despite the fact that she is not a professional, she was nevertheless able to complete the improvements. But her attempts to gather enough food for the long winter were hampered when the weather turned adverse and prevented her from producing food in her garden. She tried to cultivate food, but it didn't work. So she went foraging and discovered tasty fireweed. She was fortunate enough to locate one of the 4 caribou she was permitted to hunt. Now, despite the fact that she has survived for so long alone, her life does not appear to be glamorous, as she has endured attacks from the beasts and difficult circumstances. For instance, she was attacked by a bear in 2007. Bears have an acute sense of smell and can detect lingering smells up to 10 kilometers away. So perhaps the lingering smell was what provoked the bear attack. Sue was being thrown around by the bear as its fangs dug into her skull. Fortunately for her, the bear backed off, but not before ripping her hip and shoulder out of their sockets. And since there was no one around to assist, she was forced to drag herself back to the camp, where she could call for assistance and treat her injuries in the meanwhile. Now, despite the fact that this could seem a bit fanciful, when she arrived at the cabin, she used her gun belt to keep her hips together as she picked up her rifle and walked outside to look for and kill the bear. After that, she had to pull herself back to the cabin and wait for assistance for 10 full days since. After this incident, Sue had surgery in 2011 when she suffered a serious accident that fractured her leg. So she was gone from the camp for 3 months. Upon her return, she found that someone had taken the fuel, which was meant to cost her $6,000 and last her the whole winter. Then she had to ask the pilot to bring a few barrels to her as quickly as possible, because there were just a few days left before a blinding tale was about to fall. So it seems Sue has always had a plan B in addition to her original one, since she believes that a plan is never enough. Now, talking about her personal life, most people undoubtedly inquire as to whether she has ever been married. When it comes to her romantic relationships, Sue has 2 children and has been married twice. Her second husband and she were married for 17 years after her first spouse passed away from brain cancer. But because her husband couldn't tolerate living in Alaska during those years, they spent those years in Oregon. However, because of their dissimilar personalities, they had to end things in order to prevent suffocating each other. Then she made friends with Michael Heinrich, a man she met online. At the time, Michael was married, so they were simply acquaintances. However, after his divorce, they started dating, and even though they don't live together, they have a knack for meticulously planning their getaways. In 2020, she revealed that she was still seeing her lover by tagging him in an Instagram photo. So what do you all think? Is there still something going on between them? Let us know in the comments. And that's all for today. If you are interested in more, have a look at this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe.